Hello guys, welcome to episode 33 of the Switch Indie Fix podcast, a podcast dedicated to everything indie on the Nintendo Switch. I'm Adam, and joining me today is my esteemed co-host, Darth Stridius. Darth, how are you doing?
I'm doing very good, thank you. And thank you for having me.
No worries. Today we have quite a lot to talk about. We are going to be talking about Devolver Digital's biggest launch yet, the Bloodstained game-breaking bug, and later on in the show we'll be having an interview with Kevin Wong, the producer of upcoming indie game Lucah, Born of a Dream. But just as a gentle reminder, guys, we do need your questions. So if you have any Nintendo or indie game related questions and want them read out on the show, head over to switchindiefix.com/SIF podcast. Plus, if you're looking for a fun gaming community, why not join the Switch Indie Fix Discord at where, Darth?
switchindiefix.com/Discord.
Thank you very much. I was just checking you were listening. So today we have our news section as always, and there are 4 items on the news. That's how much, Staff?
A third of a baker's dozen.
That is, yeah. Okay, we'll go for that. Good. And news story number 1 is my friend Pedro is the biggest launch to date for Devolver Digital on the Nintendo Switch. So it's only been out a few days on the Switch, but Devolver Digital are already celebrating the slow-mo shooter My Friend Pedro's release. The publisher said on Twitter that it's one of the best launches yet and the biggest on the Nintendo Switch. The edgy publisher didn't release any sales numbers for Dead Toast Entertainment's weirdly wonderful game. However, we do know that Katana Zero was the second fastest selling Switch game in its first week with over 100,000 downloads. So it suggests My Friend Pedro is surpassing that number to knock off the champion that was Enter the Gungeon off its best-selling throne. Not Enter the Gungeon. My Friend Pedro came out on Thursday. Obviously, it's selling very well. We have a review going up, I think it's already up actually, on Switch Indie Fix. Mizume, he did the review for My Friend is Pedro, so it's up now. Go to switchindiefix.com/My Friend Pedro Switch review. But we also have a review right here, right now for you in your ear holes. Darth, you've been playing My Friend is Pedro, and what do you think about it?
Yeah, I've been playing it. I mean, I first got Katana Zero. I think in the early podcast I mentioned even this one. Like, I like Katana Zero. I'm probably just going to get this and not get My Friend is Pedro because they're very similar games.
Yeah. And
I like the art style of Katana Zero. This one is for sure a much harder game to play. It's in terms of mechanics of you're jumping around a bit more. You can aim your guns 2 ways, and it's scored based essentially. So like you can finish one level and they'll give you a score. It's a very fun game. I think it's if you like those kind of quick, fast-paced games where you can shoot, kick, and just parkour around, I recommend it. Maybe if everyone goes on sale or not. I'm kind of surprised this was their best-selling game.
Yeah.
Maybe it was just because how silly it is and been on Nintendo Directs. And if people bought Katana Zero, probably were interested in this one.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's why it was so well done.
Like in Masume's review, he kind of goes into like the fact that My Friend Pedro seems to have had like a huge marketing push for whatever reason. Like I guess the concept is really unique, and they have like this almost like this icon in this
banana.
This banana, this like kind of Latino sentient banana. So I guess like it's had like a real big push. Like you said, it was in a Nintendo Direct. But yeah, like from his review, I think he gave it a 7 out of 10. He kind of says like maybe it was a little bit too overhyped by some of the marketing promotional stuff. Like he says that they released some really awesome looking trailers for the game, and he said but those trailers all those like cutscenes aren't actually in the game themselves. So like has it been living up to like your kind of expectations so far, Daph?
I guess it is essentially what I was expecting in terms of they're shortish levels. You get raided. You're trying to kill without getting shot. I mean, look. There's a lot of replayability because I'm assuming you can replay those levels. And I think there's hard mode. There's normal, but I think you can replay those levels, try to get a better score. I mean, I think it for sure has replayability. Yeah, it's not the best. Like, I find the controls a bit wonky because to like shoot in 2 different directions, you have to hold LT and then move the 2 joysticks in different ways. So it's a bit confuddling with that. Dodging is just L. You can slow down time, which is cool.
Yeah.
But if I would have to say, like, if you want to either play Katana Zero or My Friend is Pedro, 100% go Katana Zero.
Okay, yeah. Cool.
I think it's a better stylized game. It's shorter. It's just better. The controls feel tighter.
Yeah.
And there's a storyline essentially to it compared to this one where it's like I don't even know what the storyline is.
Yeah, it's kind of from his review. I guess it's like you wake up and a banana tells you to kill people, and that's pretty much the emphasis of the story. The only thing I wanted to ask you about as well is how's it been running on the Switch, because it seems like there's a lot of stuff going on the screen, like obviously like the bullets and slowing down time. Like, has it been running okay for you?
Yeah, I've had no problem. I've been playing it all handheld, and I have had no problem like with it chugging or if it plays normal. I would say it plays smoothly.
Yeah. Oh, that's good to know.
I'm feeling. Did he mention anything in his review about it?
No, he didn't. No, that's why I'm asking you.
Yeah. Is he the same one who reviewed Katana Zero?
He is, yeah.
Figured if he...
Yeah, he preferred Katana Zero as well. He gave it a 9 out of 10, and my friend Pedro a 7, which I think seems fair from what I've been reading online.
Yeah, I would agree with that. For sure, Katana Zero is a better game altogether. Like, there's a better sum of its parts.
Yeah, cool. So let's move on to story number 2. So the hashtag ANZ Nindy sale is live, and you can save up to 80% on Aussie and Kiwi indie games. Yes, 20 handpicked Nindies from Down Under have been put on sale on the Nintendo eShop. The sale runs from June 20th to June 30th, and indie gamers can get big savings on games like The Adventure Pals, Death Squared, OTTTD, Hand of Fate 2, Crawl, and many, many more. The sale is running on the US, EU, and ANZ eShops right now. This one, I kind of put it in because I actually got reached out to by Ash, who works at SMG Studios, who are the devs behind Death Squared and OTTTD. I've heard this is kind of like a cool idea that all these indie devs from Australia and New Zealand have kind of banded together to put on this sale. I always like seeing kind of developers working together for like a common good, and it's definitely a cool sale. I can highly recommend the Adventure Pals. Really awesome platformer, really great art style. Death Squared, I've not played it, but
oh god, you play that if even when you guys like couch co-op or playing with friends, 100% get Death Squared. It's probably like I think it's $5. It's not that expensive. It's on every console imaginable right now.
Yeah,
it's just really well done because it's like a puzzle game where you both have to move a square, essentially. But the problem is, like, you could kill the other person depending on, like, what you stand on could change, like, the map and the location by killing your teammate. Or, like, there's lasers that move, but only you of the same color can go between them. But the other thing cannot. Yes. It's just a very fun couch co-op game where you're going to laugh. You're going to be like, oh, why did you do that?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I recommend it if you have want to play with your girlfriend, you want to play with friends that come over for a few beers. It's not that expensive, and I highly recommend it. And Hand of Fate 2 is a really good game too if you like card-based games. Yeah. Well, card-based and combat. But yeah, I recommend those two games for sure.
And like I said, there's 20 in total all on sale, and like I said, they've kind of been like hand chosen, so they're all like top quality games. These are just the games that I kind of know of and thought that you guys might enjoy. Speaking of things that we maybe might not enjoy, is story number 3, and that is Bloodstained Ritual of the Night's game-breaking bug. So a recent patch has caused early press and reviewers to experience a progress halting bug in the highly anticipated Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. Basically, if you started a new game before you updated your version of the game to the 1.02 patch, your game will be broken. So yeah, basically, like they released the 1.0 patch to reviewers, and then since then they've updated the 1.0 version to reviewers. Since then they've patched it with this 1.2 version. If you started your game before the 1.2, you basically come into this game-breaking bug, which means all chests within the games will have the wrong open-close position, and obviously because it's a Metroidvania, you receive items from these chests that help you progress through the game. So, if an example might be you receive a key that unlocks a door, but if you can't open the chest, then you can't receive the key, then you can't move on. So, yeah, it's like a really annoying bug, especially because, like, I don't know, I feel like this game is kind of ebbed and flowed in its development. Like, it did really well on Kickstarter, then it kind of went away for a long time, then it came back, and people were like, yeah, it plays like a great Castlevania game, but it doesn't look very good. And then they kind of went away and redid all the art, and now everyone's like, oh yeah, it looks great. The mechanics are amazing. And then now, like a couple of days before its release, it comes out with this bug. I guess, I don't know, you know more than me, Darth. I guess technically now it shouldn't affect new players because as long as the version of the game is updated to this patch and you start a new game after it, it won't affect you.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure it should not affect them. And the thing that sucks about this game, because it's a Metroidvania, you can get very confused that if it's a bug or not, because it's like the idea is that those kind of games you're supposed to look around, right, to figure out where to go next.
Yeah.
Right, so you might have no idea that is a bug, right? Like if you haven't been reading up and been like, oh, I need something. Well, it's not here. Let me go in the other part where I haven't checked. So like, it's really shitty for this kind of game because it may take you a while to realize it's a bug over it not being a bug, right? Because it'd be like, oh, okay, let me go here because I didn't explore there, and it might be like an hour or two, and we're like, I really hate this game. I'm gonna put it away, and never come back because you don't follow. Like it just sucks. It just sucks for them. I feel sorry for them.
Yeah, me too. Because like I say, it is. I think it's like one of the most highly anticipated indie games of the year. Like,
for sure,
it's had so much press around it and hype around it, and then to kind of like in some ways I think it's like a double-edged sword. Like it's lucky that it happened before the general release, but it's also unlucky because now you have all this press and all these reviewers that are like experiencing this game-breaking bug. So I don't know. I think it might have like an effect on the review scores.
I mean, I would say it depends on that because a lot of people, I mean, they get a lot of early versions, right? So like they know when they hit a bug. So I think a lot of the bigger reviewers who follow us and have had this before know what's going on and will probably hopefully review properly. I think it's more because it's an indie game. Because it's Kickstarter, a lot of people might get it early and then really give it shit, not realizing it, right? And then that might show in the reviews. Not saying that not everyone is like that, but I'm saying there's probably a few more in the not as experienced reviewers who will get this and then just like pull it down when they say like we didn't play with like the day one patch or whatever, right? Because usually that's what they signify.
Yeah. So like I said, the game comes out on Tuesday, June 25th, and hopefully it won't affect new players as long as you make sure that you have the current version of the game when you download it. But in brighter news for Bloodstained is that they last week they released a launch trailer, and it showed off that there will be 13 free pieces of DLC released for Bloodstained, including one that looks like a retro-inspired throwback to the original Castlevania, so where the enemies and background turn into like an 8-bit design, and the character stays the same as in the game, and another one involving Shovel Knight, which looks like this like demon Shovel Knight on steroids. So I think I think overall Bloodstained is going to be a really successful game. Like I really hope it does well. Like it's definitely won me over because when I first saw it, like I think like Kind of Funny got like an early build of it like years ago, and I thought, oh my god, this game looks like horrible, like just the art style. And since then, like they really seem to have like listened to fans and have changed things and improved things. And yeah, I just think it's a bit sad for them that this kind of like hiccup happened right before launch. But yeah, hopefully everything will be fine on Tuesday when people go out and pick it up.
Are you gonna play it?
You're gonna.
Sorry.
That's what I was just gonna ask you.
I'm gonna wait for a sale. It's $53 American right now.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I'm 100% waiting for a sale. It's not a game I'll be playing right now. I have too much stuff to play at the moment, so it's not worth me picking up right now.
Yeah, I'm kind of like in the same camp. Like I'm not the biggest Castlevania fan. And again, Mizume is going to be reviewing it, so I'm kind of waiting to see what he says and what other people in the community say. And yeah, I'll probably also wait for a sale if it's going to be like €40 because it's a bit.
Did it come out earlier for Kickstarter people?
I'm not sure. Like I thought it was already out. Like
that's what confuses me about how you're saying that people are hitting this bug, because if it's just reviewers, you wouldn't be hearing a huge thing about this bug, right? It would just been
no. But like maybe that's what it is with the Kickstarter. It's like because most of the time, I heard about it from like Colin Moriarty experienced it, and there was like other things on Twitter about this like game breaking bug and stuff like that. So that's how I knew about it. But I actually thought the game was out. Like I made my best games of June post, and I'm sure I had it down for the June 25th. And I was like, that must be like maybe the EU release and it's already out in America. But no, maybe it's like you say, maybe the Kickstarter's got it early and obviously the reviewers have had it earlier as well.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, it could probably, hopefully, does really well. Hopefully, it's not going to bomb like the Mega Man one. I can't think of his name now.
Mighty Number 9.
Yes, that one.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it actually succeeds after the long wait, because it's been in the news for a very long time.
Yeah, for a long time. Yeah.
So,
like, I don't know. I think like I say, they seem to have just been like, okay, we want to make a Castlevania game because Konami won't let us make one. And they kind of like just have embraced it. Like I watched like Jim Sterling's review of it, and he said like there's like the enemies are pretty much the exact same as Castlevania, but they just look different. So it definitely feels like it's the spiritual successor. And like I said, the developers have kind of been really open with the game and taken on a lot of criticism and improved it a lot. So yeah, it's definitely something like, I don't know, if you're a Castlevania fan, I think it's going to be a dream game for you. And speaking of other dream games, Cuphead developer Jared Moldenhauer has been talking about his own dream Zelda game. So this kind of comes off the back of Cadence of Hyrule being released and being a massive success on the Switch. If you don't know what Cadence of Hyrule is, it's basically a crossover between Crypt of the Necrodancer and The Legend of Zelda. But it's also got a lot of other indie developers thinking about what they do if they were graced with Nintendo's prestigious IP. One such dev was Jared Moldenhauer, who is part of Studio MDHR, who brought Cuphead to the Switch recently. In an interview with Nintendo Force, Jared tells us what his Zelda game would be like if he was given the IP by Nintendo. So Jared says it would be a sprawling Zelda title brought to life in a doting 2D hand-animated style. Think of all the expressiveness and life you could bring to the tribes, people, and enemies of a universe that rich. And much like Cuphead, we will get to test our design metal, coming up with screen-filling bosses for an entirely different nature. Of course, backgrounds would be completely hand-painted with nothing reused. This list just goes on and on. It would be an absolute dream come true. So, I don't know. You could maybe argue this isn't news at all, but the reason I was putting it in is because I personally think, like, it already seems to be a success, but because Cadence of Hyrule is a success, I could imagine, like, Nintendo being like, okay, they handpick an indie developer and give them some of their IP. And I was kind of thinking about, like, what other indie devs would I like to see work with Nintendo IP, and the two that I came up with were... maybe 3 actually. Where if Team Cherry were given Metroid,
I think I mentioned that a while ago, but yeah.
Yeah. Or I also said Yacht Club getting a 2D Mario game, and also I'd love to see like Sidebar Games, who made Golf Story, get like a Mario Golf game. That would be like awesome. But yeah, and another reason that I kind of wanted to put this story in is because Darth, you've been playing Cadence of Hyrule.
Yes,
so
not
what
far
are
in
your
it.
impressions of Cadence?
I'm not far in it, but I love it. The music is phenomenal. You can find soundtrack out on YouTube if you love Zelda music and you want to hear it in 8-bit style. I recommend checking it out. It's hard. Like, you gotta follow the beat.
Yeah.
But you could remove yourself from the beat to make it easier. You were playing Necrodancer, right? Crypto Necrodancer?
Yeah, so like I obviously want to play Cadence of Hyrule because it is like an indie game, an indie Zelda game, but I'm not like the biggest rhythm kind of game fan, and I've been watching like YouTubers play it, and it does look difficult, and I was like, it's like €25. I'm like, if I just pick it up and then I don't end up reviewing it, it's going to be like a bit of a waste of money. But luckily, I always forget their name. What are the developers called?
Shoot.
Brace Yourself.
Yeah, Brace Yourself Games. Yeah, so you're right.
Yeah. So they kind of obviously were a bit smart and were like, okay, we're going to put Necrodancer on sale. So it was on sale for $3.99. I played maybe about an hour of it, and it's also very difficult. It's a little different to how Cadence looks. It's much more like a dungeon crawler, where you have like a beat that you have to kind of dance to and move to. The more on time with the beat you are, and the more consecutive beats you have in a row, the higher your attack power gets, and then and also your like money counter. So the more you get like a multiplier on how much money you get from enemies. And yeah, like again, it's definitely hard, but it's great music. It's one of those games where you're like, okay, I can feel myself learning every time you play it. And yeah, for €4, I highly
And I
recommend
think
it.
for Cadence, it's a 5-hour game. My friend said, but then there's like
Okay.
random. There's for sure other stuff. Not just a 5-hour game. You can do it. You can play longer. And he said like when you get better weapons, it makes it
Hmm.
easier because like yeah, I'm near the beginning and I died I don't know how many times. But when you die,
Yeah.
you go into like I'm not sure if it is necromancy. You go into like like a shop where you can buy stuff. So you
Hmm.
can buy like an extra hard
Yeah.
container. You can buy better weapons. But yeah, it's very hard. It's
Yeah.
nice
Yeah.
seeing like um, Zelda bad guys. So for example, like the goos in Zelda look like music notes bopping around.
Yeah.
I mean, if you like Zelda and you like good music and you like harder games, I highly recommend this one.
Mm.
It's nice to see
Yeah.
Nintendo working with them. Yes, I would love to see a Metroid Prime Team Cherry game. That would be phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I'm
Yeah.
glad to
But
see this. I mean, I think it's gonna be a success for everyone because of the fact that it's a Zelda IP placed somewhere else where they've been
yeah.
very protective usually of Zelda. But again, we saw Mario with
Yeah.
Ubisoft and stuff, so who knows?
Hmm. Yeah. Like I said, I hope it opens the door to other indie devs getting the IP. But yeah, like I said, watching YouTube videos about it, like I can't believe how hard it seems to be straight off the bat. Like there's no kind of slope to the difficulty. It's like, okay, you wake up because you can choose to be Zelda or Link,
Yep.
right? In the
You
in the
fall
opening
in and then like
stages.
you choose which side, like who you want to be.
Yeah, and then it's like, okay, there's no kind of like easing you in. It's like, oh no, here's like a screen with like 10 enemies on that you have to work out all of their
Yeah.
patterns and kill them all without getting hit. But yeah, Necrodance is the same. You basically get these, like, because obviously it's a roguelike. You get this currency called diamonds, and you get it for like killing
Yeah, it's
enemies.
the same
and
thing
you can
in.
just find them
You have a soft currency and hard
And then-
currency, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like in the dungeons you have gold, in the kind of overworld kind of area you have these diamonds. And yeah, it's like when you die, you can go spend your diamonds on items that should appear in the dungeons and should help you get through
exactly.
the
Yeah, and
dungeons a little bit easier.
I think when you clear a screen, right, you get a diamond. 'Cause that's how I think it is in Cadence.
Yeah.
When you clear the
Yeah.
screen of enemies, you get a diamond. Diamonds stay with you forever, and yeah, rupees don't.
Yeah, but I don't know what it's like in Cadence. Like diamonds, if you die and you say you have like 2 diamonds, and it's like, okay, there's an item that costs five diamonds in the shop, and you're like, oh, I want to save up for that item. You can't do that in the game. It's like if you go into the dungeon again without spending your diamonds, then you lose them. So,
I think Cadence is different.
Yeah,
I think you don't lose your diamonds at all.
Yeah, which I think would make more sense because I think I was kind of surprised when it was like, okay, I have to spend them.
Yeah, that's been annoying.
So yeah, it is.
But I guess the idea is that you buy the smaller items, you build up, you get better, you last longer.
Yeah.
So when you do get 5, you can get better, even stronger. I guess that's the idea of that
Yeah,
game.
exactly. Yeah, I think that's part of the design. But yeah, if you want a game where you don't have to spend any diamonds, you should go and check out Realm Royale because it is now available as a free download on the US and EU shops, e-shops, I should say. Have you played any Realm
No,
Royale?
I never played any of the games from that company. I know they have like Realm Royale, they have like their exactly, yeah.
High res.
This one is the Overwatch
Yeah.
version, right?
No, this is the Fortnite.
Oh,
kind of
right, this is
clone.
right, Royale, of course. Yeah, right.
Paladins is
Yeah,
the
Overwatch
kind of. Yeah. Nah, like I really like Paladins. And I haven't. I saw Lee Wayne on Twitter. He's been playing a lot of it and like getting a lot of unlocks. The only problem with me for high res games is that they have so many currencies and so many like XP things that it's just so confusing. Where like when you play Paladins and you win and it's like, oh, you're like level 12 on this one, but on something else you're only level 2, and it's just so confusing to find anything what you want in there. The menu systems are so like crammed full of just like crap basically. But the gameplay is always great. Like I love Paladins. I should go back and play more, but never have the time. And the next little bit of news tidbits that I have is that Devolver Digital's Karen wins Best Indie Game of E3. Not Karen, Carrion wins Best Game of E3 from Game Informer. And Darth, you wanted to talk a little bit about
this game looks awesome. Think about it's like a horror game, but you're playing the monster, not the little scared human of like, oh no, monster's coming after me. You have to run around. You look like a big blob with tentacles. It kind of reminds me of like Ape Out in a way, of you playing like the monster trying to get out.
Yeah.
It looks like it's a fun, just like the graphics look cool. Yeah, it looks like it'd be a fun just game to play on Switch when you're just going to work or something. It's for sure on my radar, and I'm hoping to pick it up whenever it does decide to come out.
Yeah, same for me. Like I didn't really know anything about it until you said, and I checked out the trailer, and I was like, this game looks really cool. Like it's more, it's like Ape Out, but it's from like more like a 2D side scroller than top down, right? And it's kind of like, you're this monster that is going through like the vents of like it looks like maybe a spacecraft or
underground bunker or something like that.
Yeah, and you basically are trying to like wipe out all the human inhabitants.
Yeah, it sounds like
so it's like a really cool.
Yeah, it sounds like they could have been near in a lab or something. They created you or something, and you get like you get you could take control of yourself, and then like you're going around getting exacting revenge.
And break out and so it's a really, really cool concept, and it looks a lot. And
hopefully
fun.
There's scores to it and stuff, right? And you can like each one's a level, right? And you can like compete against friends who got the best score, whatever. That'd be a cool idea to it.
Yeah, that would be cool. Or like the most people, because it looked like you could like almost possess humans as well. Like towards the end, it's where there was like a scene where you go like inside the human and then like blows the human up. So I'm kind of like. That would be a really cool thing as well if you could kind of take over a human body and like act like a human for a while and then get them all like like feel like they're secure, and then all of a sudden you just burst out as this monster and just rip them apart. I think that'd be really fun.
I mean, I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. So that was the news, the indie game news this week, guys, for the Switch. Let me know which story was most interesting to you. And if you're going to be picking up Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, let us know. Or if you've been playing Cadence or Pedro, also let us know. You can find me on Twitter at SwitchIndieFix. You can find Darth on Twitter
Darth
or you can find us both together on Discord by going to switchindiefix.com/Discord. So now, guys, I'm going to do our little section break, our ad read from Cash. So are you sick of getting next to no interest on your savings from your traditional bank? Well, the Cash Wallet aims to revolutionize banking by giving normal, everyday people like us a monthly 1% interest on our savings. Yes, that's 1% a month. If you want to make your pennies count and want to pick up that next indie game a little quicker, go to thecashwallet.com and wait and join the waiting list for the banking app arriving sometime soon. If you would be interested in doing that, it doesn't help the show out really, but it helps me out personally if you guys go up and join the waiting list. If you want to check out more info, go to switchindiefix.com/cash. Cash is spelled CACHE. So, for the second portion of the podcast today, we are talking to Kevin Wong, the producer of upcoming indie title on the Switch, Lucah, Born of a Dream. Kevin, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. And this was all down to Darth. Darth planned this and put it all together, so thanks to you too, Darth.
Welcome.
So, Kevin, you're actually like our second kind of developer/producer we've had on the podcast. And what I always like to ask our kind of like devs that come on is... I kind of want to learn a little bit about your like gaming background. So the first question is, what were the games you played when you were younger, and how do you think these games that you played in your youth, how do you think they've influenced Lucah?
Yeah, my first console was actually the Game Boy Advance, and my brother did have an N64, and I watched him play a lot of games like The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, but I didn't have my own console that I played my own games on. No, it's just that I was mostly just watching and not actually playing them until I had my own console.
Yeah,
and that first console was the Game Boy Advance, and a lot of handheld games like Pokemon, as well as the JRPGs on that console, like the Final Fantasy ports and Golden Sun. Those are all a lot more influential to me.
Mm-hmm. So you were definitely more of like a JRPG fan as a younger player, a younger gamer.
Yeah, I played a lot of JRPGs. Like Pokemon was extremely influential. I really liked the DS Castlevanias, as well as The World Ends with You. I around 2008, which was when I entered high school, I got my first console, which was a Wii. Then, a few years afterwards, a PlayStation 3, and I guess my trajectory has mostly been a little more Nintendo centric. But all throughout that time, I was like very actively trying to seek out the games on those platforms that were a little more daring with how they used the hardware of the Nintendo DS and Wii. Things like Elite Beat Agents and The World Ends With You all used their touch controls in really interesting and wonderful ways that used the four digit form to really creative effect.
Yeah, they were definitely creative in that way.
Did you try?
Go on, Gav.
Sorry, did you try any more you like using the hardware as creative? Have you tried like the PS Vita? Shoot, what's the name of it now? The paper one, where you had to use the back.
Yeah, the back pads. That's the R2 and R1.
Tearaway?
Yeah, that's it. Sorry, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried that out at IndieCade many years ago, and I thought it was super rad. And the touch controls for the unfolding aspect were really cool. But I never had a Vita and never played through it.
On PS4? Or on PS4. Because it came out on PS4 later. Have you heard about Supermarket Streak?
I haven't.
Where you have to use your voice to race. It's a human and a goat on a cart, like a grocery cart, and it's like a racing game where you have to like shriek into the mic. And more you shriek, like it's two people, so like one's left, one's right. So if you don't coordinate,
that's amazing.
It goes bad.
Yeah,
so,
you basically just crash into a wall.
Yeah, you go in circles.
That's amazing. I'll need to look that up later.
It's on Xbox
I actually did
right now, and I think going to other places for Xbox at the moment.
Yeah, I did like a very silly screaming game for a Glow Game Jam when I was in college, and that was a lot of fun. Yeah. You had to like scream. You had to scream to like raise a flag, I think.
Wasn't one of the Marios you had to blow into the mic to blow the balloon or something on the 3DS?
Yeah, the WarioWare, was it?
Yeah.
Into the mic, yeah.
I mean, for sure, Nintendo has been more unique with how to using the hardware, right, than other consoles, especially like Xbox. Whereas, like, use the touch controls, use the, the Wii controls in a certain way.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, bringing it back to Lucah and why you're here, Kevin. So, like, you reached out to me about a week ago and said that you're kind of promoting a game and you were looking for reviewers, and I applied for a review code and luckily got one. And I don't know, I'm probably about 4 or 5 hours into the game. Like, I've not had my first kind of like playthrough. It's not been finished yet. And one of the things that I kind of noticed is that there's like a lot of different mechanics that have been like borrowed from other games, but like have been borrowed and adapted from other games. So like if you were gonna kind of sum Lucah up in kind of almost like an elevator pitch, like what would you describe its genre as, and how would you kind of give like an overall view of the game for listeners that don't know what it is?
We've gone through a lot of different elevator pitches when we come up with ways to describe the game. But the way that describing it now is a character action game about the struggle for self-acceptance, and that shows up in the game story in the second half. But a lot of the ideas behind the game were to use the language of combat and, to describe a story about getting stronger and achieving personal growth and developing self-confidence. And the way that's expressed is through how your gradual mastery of the combat mechanics, and as you develop your character, you start to develop like a personalized fighting style that's very uniquely yours. And because of that, that ties into the game's themes of overcoming a restrictive and oppressive social
Yeah,
condition.
because it kind of feeds into one of my other questions, but it's definitely like a difficult game. Like, you know, I was kind of like reading up on it online, and people are calling it like a Souls-like. And it definitely has that aspect of like you have to get good at it, like, you know, like the internet mean like get good, because there is kind of like a lot of trial and error, and it's something that I kind of find very rewarding, because, you know, you kind of go into a room, an enemy absolutely like decimates you, you go back again, you last a little bit longer with the enemy, and you say like you've kind of like developed the combat to let players find their own style and find their own kind of like way to play and way to beat enemies. But what other kind of like mechanics have you introduced in the game? Because it is a difficult game to kind of get over these barriers. Like right now I'm at a barrier against a boss, and like I said, like for me, I like the challenge. I like trying to overcome it. But I know like some players might just kind of be like, okay, I can't beat this boss, I'm going to put the game down. What have you kind of done to help those players along and kind of give them like a push in the right direction when they come up against difficult enemies?
Cool. For what's worth, as a game producer, I was in charge of the design of the mechanics, so I can't speak in full about the intentionalities behind them, since that was the duty of Colin, who's the game's project lead designer and director.
Yeah.
But to speak of some of the ways we go about easing players into the game, there are a lot of what I think are interesting new ways that we go about that. Much like Celeste, we do have options in the option menu that allow you to tune the difficulty down by giving you essentially what are all of our cheat codes to get past very difficult sections. Those are, namely, you could give yourself unlimited stamina and mana, as well as make all the enemies weaker or give yourself a lot more health. And by introducing those options, I think we are making the game a little more accessible to people who are in there mostly for the story and atmosphere, since I think that was what made Celeste so successful. With that said, there are elements of the pacing and tone that I think you can only get from the struggle of the combat.
Yeah, definitely. Like one thing I kind of noticed was it has almost like, you know, you kill enemies, you get given the currency, which is it called like the currency?
Yep.
Yeah, so you get given it, and then you can spend those at kind of like, I guess you would call them like almost like shrines to level up. And one thing like I really like is that like in like the Souls games, you have this, you know, you collect the souls, you go to the bonfire, level up. But if you die, you lose your souls. And what I like about Lucah is that you don't lose them, like you keep them. So even if you die, you can go back and you're like, okay, I've got 8,000 I can spend it on leveling up, and then you kind of go back again, and you're a little bit stronger than you were the first time you beat you fight a boss, and it definitely helps. Like, you know, you feel like you're always working towards something, which is something I really really like about the game. Like I always feel like I'm making progress.
Yeah, and that's very intentional.
Yeah, it's great. I think it's great design. Like it is. The combat is challenging, but like it never feels punishing, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and we wanted players to be able to like reach one of the 3 endings eventually.
Yeah, and kind of like the last kind of question I want to ask you about Lucah is when you first sent me the link to for the game, like the first thing I noticed about it was the art style. And I know you're the producer, and you probably didn't have too much of a say in the art, but like I really love it. Like I think it's so unusual. Like I describe it as if someone has kind of like etched the art onto the screen. Like it looks so jarring, and the lines are so sharp. It kind of reminds me of almost like a cave kind of painting in some ways. So I just wanted to ask like who was the mastermind behind the art. And I've had some like conversations with other reviewers and stuff, and they said, oh yeah, they're not the biggest fans of the art because it can be quite like difficult to see and difficult to kind of work out where you need to go. So yeah, my question is, who was the mastermind behind the art, and was there any hesitation to use this art style in the game because it is so like out there?
That was actually the intention of Colin Horgan, who also does all the game's art. Colin was a solo developer for many, many, many years, and a lot of his personal work, which you can find on melesson3.itch.io, is all very centered around combat and action games using this very minimalistic style.
Yeah.
And a lot of that, and a lot of the thinking behind that style was to create like a scratchy and loud style that invokes a sense of ambiguity and surreality. You can't...
Yeah.
Since objects and ideas are suggested but not necessarily represented by the game's art, and because of that, that demands like a much greater level of cognitive engagement with the player, as he tried to make out what this thing actually is. And and we thought that would be really exciting and interesting.
Yeah, it definitely is. Like I've definitely experienced it in the game where I've gone over to something and been like, okay, what is this like boxy looking thing? And then it turns out to be like a TV with a VCR attached to it, and I was like, that's kind of cool. Like you kind of from like the overview of the kind of screen, you think, oh, what is that? And then you go over, and it definitely makes me want to explore more in the game. Which is again like a big part of it, finding items and kind of unlocking doors.
Yeah, and I think the art, while it has prevented us from like getting as much mainstream attention as like a more traditionally gorgeous pixel art game style like Hyperlight Drifter, I do think it is important for us to set ourselves apart with a style that's totally unforgettable and leaves an impression like that. Whether that's positive or negative, it's something that I don't think would be easy to forget.
Yeah, definitely. Like it kind of leads on to my next question, but there's so many indie games on the Switch that are pixel art, and eventually they kind of all start looking to the same, and you kind of scroll past them on the eShop and kind of think, okay, yeah, another game with pixel art. It kind of doesn't put me off, but it kind of makes you think, okay, yeah, what else is out there? And I think for people that might not have heard of Lucah, when they're searching through the Switch eShop, it's definitely going to stand out to them, which is cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, as the producer of the game, I wanted to ask you about what you think of the Nintendo Switch and how you think it's affected indie games.
Oh, I love the Switch. I think it's done a fantastic job in distinguishing itself from other consoles on the marketplace, since the portability fulfills a need and desire that I don't think anyone really realized that they really wanted.
Yeah.
And because of that, I think that's why the Switch has enjoyed the commercial success that it has had. Nintendo has also been really great to work with, and they've been also really communicative to developers, and I'm really grateful for them that they took a chance on us.
Yeah. And what was that process like? Like, can you go into what it's like? Because I know you have to have like a license with Nintendo to publish on the eShop. So you said they've been supportive. Was it easy, kind of, going out there and approaching them and being like, okay, we have this game on Steam, we want to bring it to the Switch. How can we go forward doing that?
Yeah. I can't give too many details about what the process was like, since we are under NDA like all other developers. Yeah. But I can say that that involved us arranging a meeting at GDC 2018 and us going up to them with a pitch deck describing where we were at for the game and what we wanted for it and why it would be a great fit for their platform and needs. and that's actually part of a process at GDC 2018, where we approached a lot of people, either for polishing support or console availability.
Yeah.
Cool. But we did also have like a track record of building games for consoles, and that ended up getting us a level of support and trust from the team that I don't think we would have necessarily had if this was going to be our first game.
Yeah. That's what I kind of seem to hear about Nintendo, because like having like an indie game website and podcast, like a lot of people or a lot of fans kind of are starting to complain like, oh yeah, back in the good old days when the Switch was new, it felt like the quality of indie games was really high, and a lot of people saw the gold, like Switch is almost like a gold rush, and they think, okay, yeah, now all the shovelware is going to come, and it's so easy to develop for the Switch. So it kind of makes me happy when I hear like developers like you or publicists like you say, no, it's not just like pressing upload on a screen. Like you do have to put in work to actually get your game on Nintendo. So I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Since you definitely do need connections to Nintendo. As an organization in order to get your game out there and get your game on the system. For us, that was GDC 2018, but I know that at pretty much any major games event, they'll have like reps there who you could talk to and could put you in touch with the right people to get your games out there.
Yeah, I guess it's like, who you know, and not always what you know, I guess, but yeah, that's how the world works.
One question. Yeah.
Darth, I was going to say.
Yeah, well, I have one question talking about this is, when the PS4 came out, they were very heavy on the indie games to try to get support, and that dwindled really quickly when they became the top-selling console. Do you think Nintendo's going to keep going on supporting indies for the long term, or do you think they're going to start dwindling down as people just take up the Switch because it's a good console and there's games on it?
I don't know. I actually don't think I can talk too much about industry matters like that without stepping on somebody's toes.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I personally think they'll keep going because they've kind of cut out this niche. But yeah, if you can't talk about it, that's fair enough. But yeah, Kevin, I think that was everything we wanted to talk about today. Like I just want to say, I've been playing Lucah and really, really liking it, and can't wait to get my review out there and for other people to read about it. Is there any kind of, where can people find out more about the game? When is the game coming to Nintendo Switch?
Yes. You could find out more about Lucah on our Nintendo eShop page. Unfortunately, we don't presently have a website, but most of our communications have been centered around the Twitter account at me3. If you're also interested in following me, you can follow me at that Kevin Wong on Twitter. That's THAT Kevin Wong.
Okay, and the game comes out July 3rd, right?
That's correct. July 3rd on Nintendo Switch. The game's already out on PC for what it's worth. But we definitely think that the Switch version adds a whole lot from its format.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
portability is key.
I agree. So yeah, portability is key. That's right, Darth. So yeah, that was our conversation with Kevin Wong.
Thank you, Kevin,
for check him out at Kevin Wong on
came
Twitter.
and
we will now, like I say, I've been really enjoying Lucah, Born of a Dream. Like I say, it's a mix of a lot of different genres. Definitely has heavily influenced by Dark Souls, but there's also kind of like inventory management. And like you said, you can kind of customize your character to have different fighting styles, which kind of reminds me of Neo, with like changing up the sword techniques there. But the final section of the show is, as always, our question section. And this week we have one question from Soccer Omi, who is a German YouTuber. So go and check out her YouTube channel. I think it's youtube.com/Soccer Omi. She makes a lot of retro-inspired videos. Also does some like indie select stuff, reviewing indie games. So if you can speak German or you want to learn some German, then go and check her out. And she asks, as I bought Slay the Spire recently, I just can't decide if I like it or not. It's fun to play, but with only a few runs, you've almost seen like most of the game. So I can't quite get the hype, but I keep coming back for more. So what is it exactly that makes this game addictive? So I think this is a great question because I have been playing Slay the Spire. Like it's one of the games I've been most looking forward to this year, coming out on the Switch. Picked it up. And it's unusual because it's like just like a card-based game. You basically build. It's like a roguelite mixed with a card game where you are fighting randomly generated enemies on like a tree. Then when you get to the top of the tree, there's always a boss at the end of like the floor. You beat the boss, you go to the next floor and continue on. I'm not sure how many floors there are in total. I think 3 or 4. Like the furthest I've got so far is to the 3rd floor. And you basically can choose between, when you start, you choose off with one character, which is kind of like a warrior. You get a very select base deck of cards, which are usually just defending and attacking. And then as you progress, each time you beat an enemy, you get to choose a random card to add to your deck. And obviously, like I'm very early into it, so I don't really know any of the synergies or the combos that cards can make. So I'm kind of just playing it as I go and trying to like learn, and I feel like I'm learning a lot. Like I say, I got past, I beat the 2nd boss, and then I think I got to the 3rd floor and died on the 1st enemy. But yeah, I'm the same. Like I keep coming back for more. I don't know. It's just like a smart game. I feel like because a lot of it is you are trying to like build a deck, and you're coming up against enemies, and obviously the more you play, the better you learn the enemy attacks, and the game also kind of shows you, okay, this enemy is going to attack you for 10 this turn, or they're going to do like a buff, and you only have like a certain amount of health. Like I think like the warrior class, I can't remember, I think it's Ironclad, I think it's called in the game. It has like 80 health, so you can basically use. You can try and go all out attack and kill the monster in one turn, which rarely happens because you can't choose which cards you get. Like you draw, I think, 6 cards, and then when you used 3 of them, or you have 3 mana, once you use your 3 mana, the cards get put in a discard pile, and then the kind of cycle keeps going. But it's kind of like, okay, you have to think, should I let him hit me for 10 and should I just attack him, or can I block for 10 and then use the block to take out the damage and then slowly whittle him down? And I don't know. It's just, I don't really know why it's addictive, but it is. Have you experienced any of it, Darth?
No, I'm interested. Question: did you play SteamWorld Dig Quest?
SteamWorld Quest, yeah.
Yeah, that one. Did you play it?
Yeah.
And how would you compare to these two? Because essentially these two are both card building dungeon games.
I would say like this is, I don't know. I describe SteamWorld Dig as like SteamWorld Quest as like a light version of this, where it's like, it has a lot of the same mechanics, but it's more, I would say, I don't know. It definitely feels more like an RPG where they've just used the moves that you would have in a traditional turn-based RPG and just put them in as like a card format, where it's like, oh, okay, this one is. Like if you were saying Pokemon, it'd be like, instead of putting like the drop-down menu, it's like, oh, here's cards, and this one is tackle. It doesn't really like, I don't know. I feel like it doesn't have as many synergies as what Slay the Spire does, and like I said, this game just feels like a lot smarter. Like you have to think and you have to like work out, okay, if I do this, what are they going to do? Like you're kind of trying to like think ahead of yourself a little bit. And also within the game, like there's like shops you can go to. Like I feel like you get money like hand over fist. So like you get given money, and then you can go to shops. You can buy new cards, or you can also buy what they called relics, which give you like an
boost.
Active boost. Yeah. So like one of the best ones I had was, what was it? It was like, oh, you get to keep all the cards in your hand, so you don't discard any cards. So it gives you like, you have like a massive hand of cards to choose from, and then some of them are less good. Like There's one where you get it and it lets you draw. I think it lets you draw an extra card, but you're confused all the time. So the cost for the mana in each card is different than it should be. So sometimes it's lower, sometimes it's higher. So it's kind of like a gamble. And then also there's like rest stations, so you can rest and restore 30% of your health, or you can upgrade a card. And I think like the meta is that you should be upgrading a card every time you go. But obviously for like new players, you can sometimes get to them and have no health and be like, oh my god, I need to heal. There's also potions in the game that give you buffs, like heal you. They can do debuffs. They can make you draw cards. So there's like a lot in the game. Oh, and there's also like random encounters. So where you can go and a random encounter will happen. It'll give you an option, and it tells you what the result of the option will be. So like some of them are like, okay, you go into this temple and steal this golden relic, and it's like, okay, the next scene is kind of like a choose your own adventure. It's like, oh yeah, you want to run with the relic. It means, okay, you get one relic, and then it's like, but it might mean that you get like injured. Or there's ones where it's like, oh, you drop the relic and run, and it's like, okay, you get out, but you only lose like 5 health. And then there's other ones where you know, there might be like you get the relic out, but you get wounded, and it adds like an extra, like an unplayable card to your deck. So like, I think it definitely has enough in it to make each run feel unique, even though there's only 3 characters to unlock. Everything is different, and every run is different, and you know, you can like choose, okay, do I want to have an easy run where you can like look at the tree and be like, okay, if I go this way I get a lot of like random encounters and shops and fireplaces or rest stations, or I can go this way and there's a lot of elites, and it's like if you fight an elite then you get given a relic. And I think again, like the meta is that you want to be collecting as many relics as possible because they usually do more good than bad. And yeah, and it's like the boss battles, you know, the first time you come up against the boss, you're kind of like, how can I beat him? He has so much health. But then the next time you might come back with like a really good deck, and you're like, okay, I beat him in like 3 moves this time. So yeah, it's awesome, and it kind of gives you something to work towards, because you have like a level at the bottom, and each time you level up, you unlock new cards, you unlock a new character. So there's like a lot to work for as well.
You sold me on this game. I literally just bought it.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Another question, I guess.
Yeah.
Sorry, you have anything more? I was gonna just put my input or something.
I was just gonna say the downside is that for a roguelike game, the runs can be really long, and I think that will change the more experience you have, because you know, when you don't need to read the cards anymore. You can just play them as they come. But for me, like, you know, like I said, I've not beaten it yet, and like I don't know, I beat the second boss, and it took me like an hour probably to get that far. So yeah, like they are long, but because it's on the Switch and you can play in handheld mode, like, you know, like sometimes I'll start a new run in the morning on my way to work, and then just pause it and then finish it off on the way home.
The magic of the Switch.
Yeah, exactly. And I've heard that there's also been some issues with lag and other like performance issues with the Switch. Like, I've not experienced any of it, and Mega Crit has said that they're planning to fix it all in an upcoming patch. So, you know, your mileage might vary on what your experience is with the performance, but for me it's been good.
I was saying, like, her point of, I see almost all of it, but why do I keep coming back? I'm not getting hyped. But like, for me, it's like the same idea. That's roguelikes, right? Like that's for me like why I love Dead Cells, right? I've seen every enemy in Dead Cells most likely, but I go back to it because it's a different playthrough. Like, I can get different weapons, and my playthrough for that game will be different depending on what weapons I get. Here it depends on what cards you have, right? Like, you've seen those enemies before, but you have not fought them like you have been fighting him in that run or the previous one. You always want to try better yourself, right? Like, this game roguelites are about trying to improve, right? You're trying, it's going against the same wall and trying to get better and trying to get over it, right? And so, you may have seen the same guy, but your playthroughs are going to be the same. Or not like, oh, I beat the same 6 cards. Okay, I know this is going to come out. I know what's the outcome of this game, this turn's going to be, right? And that would make these games interesting.
Yeah, that's it. That's like the loop for me, and that's what I love about roguelikes. Is like you say, you start off and you're like, okay, it kind of feels like a crawl, but the more and more you play them, obviously the better you get, the better items you get, or the more health you get, or whatever. It depends on the roguelike and what their kind of like loop is. But it eventually comes to the point where you are seeing stuff that you've not seen before, because you're getting further than you have before.
Exactly.
And I think some people don't like that. Like, some people, you know.
Oh yeah, roguelikes are for sure not for everyone. for sure.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
people don't like that. People want to continue a story or progress, right?
Yeah.
Here, the progression is, it's harder to see the progression, I guess you can say it that way, right? Like, yeah, the progression in this game is, oh, I get more cards, and the cards help me as I go because I can get more powerful, right? Or Dead Cells is like the progression is kind of random based, depending on weapons you get, and by unlocking different weapons, you can get better ones that you find. Like, that's the progression, right? Like, but it's not easily.
Yeah, same.
But it's not as easy to see in an RPG, right? Where you see, oh, I'm level 10 now. I put 10 more points into my experience, into my strength. I have a better sword that I can keep going, right? Like, that the progression is completely different, but it makes it fun if you like challenging game where you just try and prove yourself, right?
Yeah, and I think that's it. And like I said, like, this does have like like I said, it does make me feel like I'm moving on. Like, I hate roguelikes where, you know, you hit like a brick wall and you just like, I'm not getting any further. Like, there's nothing that I'm keeping that is like progressing me. But this kind of does have like an RPG aspect to it, where it's like, okay, yeah, you get some experience. It goes towards your level. When you level up, you get new cards that you can put in your deck and stuff like that. And yeah, like, it's just a really great game. Like I say, it looks kind of, the art style, I don't know, it looks quite like, I don't know, you could say it looks boring, like when you first see it, but then when you actually have it playing in front of you, like, it looks really gorgeous on the screen, and the music is like so ambient, and you know, it's just something just helps you focus in on the actual game. Like, it's a really great game, and yeah, I need to play more of it, really.
Cool. I think that was a very good question. So
yeah, thank you, Soccer Omi. I don't know what soccer means in German, but Omi means like grandma. I don't know if she means like soccer as in soccer, like football, but I don't think so. I think in German you still spell soccer the same. But yeah, so guys, that was episode 33 of the Switch Indie Fix podcast. I want to thank Darth, as always, for being here and being my co-host. It's always great having you on.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to be on.
And yes, it's I should remember. I also want to say thank you to Kevin Wong for coming on and chatting to us for about Lucah, Born of a Dream. Like I said, really cool game. I'm playing it probably after I finish the podcast, and yeah, really enjoying it. And my review should be up soonish. The game is out on July 3rd on the Switch if you want to kind of put it on your waiting list on the eShop. And yeah, me and Darth have also just recorded a new episode of the Generation 8 podcast. Darth is now like the big boy of the podcast, and he planned it and set it all up. So make sure you go and check that out. We talked about the National Pokédex and its absence from Sword and Shield. So if you're a Pokemon fan and you want to hear our thoughts on this kind of controversy and this huge like impact on the Pokemon games, then go and check that out. Both podcasts, the Switch Indie Fix and Generation 8, will be up on Apple Podcasts, Spotify and YouTube. And when you check them out, please be sure to review them, because it helps spread the word and helps new people find us. If you want to get in contact with me, hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at Switch Indie Fix. If you want to get in contact with Darth, where should they hit you
on
up,
Twitter,
Darth?
just Darth Studious, and on your Discord, which is
switchindiefix.com/Discord. And yeah, on our Discord, not mine, ours. Good. So for more reviews, including Mizumi's latest one, my friend is Pedro, make sure you go to switchindiefix.com. And I hope you all have a great week. Hope you're all playing a lot of indie games. I know I will be. I hope you are as well, Darth. And
yep, Slay Spire when it's done downloading.
Nice. And yeah, we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.